it's good. But a little bit about kind of what the ReDistribute plan is that what Hollywood is going through right now is this process where they found that because of the recession and other things, that adults are not as likely to go to films right now. That it's a lot of young people, a lot of teenagers, a lot of young adults. That even though adults may not go, they'll still spend money for their kids to go. And so the vast majority of the movies that come out are all kind of teenage, young adult kind of focused films. They've also combined that and realized that because that's the case, they're going to focus primarily on films that already have a sense of branding to them. So they'd rather go remake A-Team and He-Man and G.I. Joe and 12 Twilights and 7 Saws, all those kinds of things, because they don't have to try to educate an audience on what the story is. They can have them come out the gate already knowing. So we started this with like, how do we create a brand without having to regurgitate a whole, some script or ideas that everybody already knows about it, and ReDistribute came out of that. So what we do is we essentially say that for each project under this umbrella, we have the charities. For each project under this umbrella, we have all the profits going to charity. And so for each project as well, we pick one theme. So for this project, education is the theme. I'm a big proponent of education, especially early education. So we have a film where we say 100% of all the profits are going to charity. Within that, 85% or so of that is going to go to 3 big charities. 3 charities, one of each that will cover students, one that covers teachers, and one that covers kind of organizational mentoring, all those kinds of things. So we've been in talks with these 3 national charities to partner up with them. We have 5% that goes to the location that we're going to shoot the film in. So if we go shoot in Detroit, 5% of all the profits are going to go to food banks, homeless shelters, school systems, all that kind of stuff. We also have 5% is going to go to charities where our investors actually choose the profits to go, and then 5% gets to go to individual educational places that had an impact on my life or my team's life. And so Wartburg is one of those places. So 1% of all the profits from the film, the length of the film in theaters and DVDs or whatever, is all going to go to Wartburg. And the way that this works is that we then partner with those charities ahead of time to build this kind of massive support base through this Facebook cause page. And we ask each of them to kind of help us get the word out, build this fan support base ahead of time, and then afterwards, when the movie's ready to come out, we have that in place, and we can go to distribution companies, we can go to investors and say, listen, just like the A-Team was big in the 80s, so you know people will go, ReDistribute already has that same kind of brand associated with it, so we can assure you that there's an audience already waiting for our movie. So now we're at the point we did this kind of quiet, under-the-radar launch, which is family and friends, where we got our first 500-600 supporters in there, just plant those seeds all over the country. And now we're kind of partnering up with the smaller organizations, the Wartburg College. I'm doing the same thing with Dubuque, with my high school there, and giving a bunch of money to them. And is sitting down with them, kind of sharing what this is, and then asking them to kind of join with us, because all the money that goes to Wartburg is going to go to scholarships for the students. So it's they'll set that money aside, and it goes directly to the students. So the whole point of this is to be this kind of grassroots thing where people benefit while still taking part in the project itself. So that's kind of the nickel tour of how this thing goes. Our intent is to shoot the film in the fall. It usually takes about 6 to 12 months before it's edited and ready for distribution and all that stuff. So it would come out probably the latter part of 2011. And then each year, 18 months, we'll do the same thing and just have a different theme for the charity. So next year, our intent is to go medical-based. So we will partner with whatever kind of charities, research charities, treatment charities, all that kind of stuff. But this one is education, and we're excited about that. So I don't know if I'm available to answer any kind of questions you have, whether it's about Hollywood or LA or my journey or ReDistribute itself or any of that kind of stuff. I'm kind of an open book from my perspective.
And if you'd introduce yourself. Yeah. This is unscripted, Brian.
I love it. So is mine.
It's improv. It's kind of like the Conan O'Brien show, except my hair isn't sticking out. All right.
Hey, my name is Mike.
Hey.
Our question was, my group, is how much does one of your movies cost to make?
Yeah. They're all over the board. Uh-oh. I just lost your picture. Oh, there you go. Okay. They're really all over the board. That Paranormal Activity would probably be the best example of, or Blair Witch Project of what could happen with $50,000. Paranormal is actually not as accurate of a situation as they say. I think they made that movie where they say for $11,000 or $12,000 or something like that. But what you don't see is that Paramount Pictures or whoever picked it up then pours millions of dollars to redo the sound design and all that kind of stuff, and then they pour millions of dollars into the marketing campaign. So what you're actually seeing is not something that some dude shot in his back basement in nearly that same way. We shot that Wisconsin movie for about $140,000, and we were able to do that because we didn't pay people anything. We paid a little bit in post. We paid how to pay Michael Madsen, but we were able to do that through relationships. Then you have all the way up through $3 million is still considered a low budget indie movie, and then the typical kind of theatrical release movies are probably all in that right now, or in that 30 to $100 million range. And a good chunk of that always has to be, they call it P&A, it's all print and advertising. That regardless of what the movie costs, they need to have a huge chunk of money to kind of put this on Big Macs and Whoppers and bus stops and all that kind of stuff. So a big part of that budget goes to that. But budgets are also changing right now because Hollywood is in such a funky place that a lot of the big stars, the George Clooney's and Julia Roberts and all those folks, aren't getting paid their $20 million paychecks like they normally do. They're saying, I'll do it for $1 million or $500,000, but then I'll own 20% of the profits on the back end. So it's kind of a weird place. So they can shoot movies for less money because they don't have to pay the stars, and then the stars are just hoping for the big lottery ticket on the end. But that's it. It's literally all across the board.
Hey, I'm Trevor Finchamp. I'm also from Los Angeles, and I wanted to go into film and TV as well, so I really like what you're doing. But my question was you ended up kind of answering it through some of his, at least part of it, but are you looking to eventually branch off from just documentaries, because I know those are going to be a little less expensive, and go into different genres of feature film? And if so, you were kind of answering the questions about the actors. Are you kind of relying on the charitability of them to be able to fund that and pay big name actors or things like that to eventually expand?
Yeah. As far as the ReDistribute project, ReDistribute is actually an arm underneath my production company called Meriwether Productions. So we'll still do regular features and documentaries that are just normal business as usual, but then the ReDistribute is actually the charitable kind of arm of that. So as far as ReDistribute goes, the way that it's built is we know that if we can get this foundation of supporters, this kind of fan base, that those numbers dictate everything. So by having X amount of the millions, maybe that first 100,000 people, that allows us to now start getting national news coverage, Variety magazine, the Today Show, all those things. And as that grows, the numbers will grow. Once those numbers are in place, then it's very easy for us to go to crew people that are like directors of photography or production designers that do $50 million movies, and have them come on board as well, because they say that, okay, this is actually a legitimate thing, we'll come on board and we'll do it. If it's a $5 million budget that I'm going to shoot in, I'll shoot your movie on a $5 million budget, so they'll reduce their rate